Muchísimas gracias, señor Santiago. Puedo hablar también en español, inglés, el holandés y obviamente entonces un poquito de portugués, pero lo voy a hacer en inglés. It is an honor to be invited by the ICLAC and to give the most important part, as I'm wearing green today because it's when we're talking about environment, it's green. But I'm also part of a Green Party, and my Green Party yesterday celebrated 75th anniversary, but I was flying to be part of the first in-person meeting of the OPCC. And why is the OPCC so important? Because it's when we're talking about the transparency, and that is the first tool that we need to provide the information about progress that we're doing in implementing, but also achieving our goals when we're talking about the Paris Agreement or the Escazú Agreement. And heading to April 22nd, which is the World Earth Day, it is very important for us to realize that we are champions here. We people here are advocates, and as a representation of our people, being members of parliament, congressmen, it is important for us to realize that we are not here only for our parties or coalitions or officialisms, but we are also here for the opposition and everybody else. And that's why we have to recognize also within the process the human role of why we have the climate crisis, because we're not accepting it as humans. It is the lack of adaptation when we also see that the ice loss of Greenland and Antarctica hits new records. So the parliaments and us as the OPCC play a fundamental role in the fight against climate change, and through our parts and uniting each other, I think we can be a role model related to the environment and sustainability. Talking about how the implementation and the policy works in Curacao, I think it's very important for us to see that the strategic position of Curacao can serve as a very important role as a small island in development states. Not only that, I can also ask you guys from the countries to, if you hear about a candidate for the Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, Sir Albert Martes, please talk to your representative for them to pledge this Curaçaoan leader, because he was the one who tracked the process also of the Curaçao policy that I'm going to talk about right now. And also being part of an OCT, the Overseas Countries and Territories part of the EU, it is the bridge that we can serve, uniting these type of discussions for a political issue also within the European part, being a Caribbean country, part of the American continent. And as the effects of climate change impact almost all sectors of Curacao, it is important for us to involve the broader community and everybody else that is here represented, but also are going to be represented within the OPCC. Therefore, the major things is to present the capacity lack, but also sometimes the knowledge that we need to get from other stakeholders related to the impact of climate. The risks of natural hazards, the losses of biodiversity due to climate change for Curacao are expected to increase during these upcoming decades. This includes mainly economic losses in coastal settlements that will affect both of the population, but also our main and most important pillar, which is tourism. So like we're talking about houses, apartments, hotels, and the infrastructure of a significant part of the island, which will also be increasingly vulnerable to the rising sea level. So when we're talking about Willemstad, and you guys Google Curacao and see our beautiful Handelskade, it is in danger because it's part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, but even the people in Curacao don't even know this, because it's not just like my colleagues before me said from Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and Costa Rica. It's not a public issue. Maybe it's a political issue, but it's not a public issue. And so you see the risk of flash floods, but not only within the region, hurricanes, coastal inundation, and resulting in severely damaged roads and vital buildings. So the understanding of the normal average people, to understand the terms, but also the everyday discussion that we're having, it doesn't really take all the contribution that we have seriously, because people think, for example, that I'm traveling more than 11 hours to come here just for fun. But it's not like that. It's to gain more experience, but also putting the issue of climate change and just transition on, and sharing the knowledge that we have through this transparent platform. And maybe sometimes you ask, we need some Kim Kardashian also to sit next to us on this table for make it more important and to have them talk about climate change. And so that the next generation not only see the importance of having us as human beings owning up as leaders within these problems. For example, for us, we're talking about reforms within the Dutch kingdom, and but one of the lack of attention, and something that I've been pledging in within the parliament, is, for example, a kingdom climate fund. Because it is important, even though you see that COVID, the pandemic, made us some kind of aware of the importance of nature, it seems that we lost that attention already. So life went back to normal, and we forgot that we don't have control on whatever happens within nature. But these things are the most important things and crucial ways that we need for us to put attention, because most of the big countries also have small islands within their process, and for surely the American continent. But it is raising also visibility for the island vulnerability issues, identifying mechanisms to boost islands' resilience building efforts, and providing a range of advisory services, including supporting the small island states, and also to make them, at least to graduate them into from the least developed country category. Okay, so also I would like to put within the drafting right now of the climate law that we're doing in Curacao, because we're talking about a modern law, but the priorities that we're putting in is the sustainable water management, the smart solar panel culture, modernized reverse osmosis system, the infrastructure for liquefied natural gas, electrical cars and transportation, study on coastal protection, natural disasters, evacuation of vulnerable areas, but also green infrastructures, the mangrove restoration that we're working on, natural terraces, also the study on green buildings in the context of our small island development states. But something that I'm really looking forward to, and we're not talking about of it, is the digital innovation and fintech for climate action strategies. So those are things that are very much important, and we don't have to take them lightly, as we're talking, for example, on our model law. But also the expected results for this are that we are more environmentally conscious, less upward pressure on production costs, for example, on potable water, more agriculture and food securing, less dependent on importing goods, because as small islands, we import more than 90% of everything that we have, better replenishment of groundwater, green hub and infrastructure on public areas, less dependent on fossil fuels, organizational structure network. And for me to finalize also, I would like to take the importance of stakeholder engagement that we need. For example, sitting next to Senator Cacha Cambronero from Costa Rica, for example, we are part of a commission in the Parliamentary, which is working on an office of green funds. But for example, Parliamentary can also be a very important partner, stakeholder to the OPCC. And we must not forget that, because all those partners may sustain and make even more viable the work that we're doing right now, and make the discussion even more public. And Also, not forgetting also the role of the IPCC, but also the role of the OPCC in controlling that and making sure that all that is being done within the executive branch is making sure that we get a reach to the Agenda 2030, or at least by more than what has been promised to the community, because we are part of one planet, but we have to realize that we have to unite as one humanity as well. Thank you very much.